The House passed an important piece of legislation to restore Congress's Article 1 constitutional powers. The Separation of Powers Restoration Act requires federal courts to interpret statutes rather than simply deferring interpretation to the regulatory agencies of the executive branch, such as the EPA and the IRS. Keeping interpretation away from regulators enables Congress to thwart executive overreach. The Constitution sets up 3 co-equal branches of government. Article 1 vests all legislative powers with the legislative branch. Congress writes the laws, not the president or his army of unelected, unaccountable bureaucrats in Washington. According to the Constitution, the judicial branch interprets the law, not the executive branch. Unfortunately, in 1984, the Supreme Court ruled that federal courts should defer to the executive branch's agencies to interpret ambiguous laws. This has caused the regulatory state to grow for decades under presidents and Congresses controlled by both parties. The problematic decision established the so-called Chevron doctrine, and it allowed the EPA and the IRS and the Department of Education and all the other regulatory agencies to essentially write new laws that were never approved by Congress. The Chevron doctrine has harmed Oklahomans repeatedly, particularly through new EPA regulations on the energy industry. It's time to revest Congress with the power and the responsibility of writing the laws, and the judicial branch with interpreting the laws. And it's time to limit the executive branch to faithfully executing the laws, as required by the Constitution. The Separation of Powers Restoration Act is a necessary first step. Although, if we followed the Constitution to begin with, we shouldn't even have to pass this law.